Well, the Prime Minister Netanyahu has described the latest Hamas proposal to end the war as ridiculous. And the group wants a three-stage ceasefire. Each stage would last 42 days. In the first, Israeli troops would withdraw beyond Salah ad-Din Road. That's the main road linking the north and south of the Strip. The group says that would allow displaced Palestinians to return home. And Hamas wants a permanent ceasefire to be announced before it releases any captured soldiers. After that, the group says it will release female Israeli reservists held captive in Gaza in exchange for Palestinian prisoners, 50 inmates for each captive. And then in the final stage, Hamas proposes the end of Israel's siege and the beginning of reconstruction efforts in Gaza. Let's bring in Willem Marks. He's joining us now from occupied East Jerusalem. So, Willem, Israel, we understand, is sending a delegation to Qatar to continue with the ceasefire talks. Does that suggest that talks are ongoing despite this latest criticism of Hamas's proposal?
Well, Doreen, if we make a comparison to the last round of talks in Cairo, where Israel very publicly said they would not be sending a delegation, then this clearly seems to be an improvement on their willingness to engage in a conversation, despite the claims, as you mentioned there, that the Hamas proposals are both ridiculous. Another word they used was delusional. What we don't yet know, though, is who will be attending those talks on behalf of the Israeli delegation, their seniority, as well as, quite crucially, the extent of their mandate. How much flexibility will the Israeli government give them to negotiate the finer points of any agreement?
And at the same time, the war cabinet has approved plans for a ground assault in Rafah, where, of course, more than 1.5 million Palestinians are sheltering. How likely is that to happen? Or is that announcement sort of for more domestic reasons?
Yeah, you have to think about the audience that Netanyahu and his team are speaking to here. It's not just the world who are watching this situation. It's also his potential voters, were there to be another election here in Israel, as well as his coalition partners. We've heard more than once over the last couple of months about this planned ground assault on Rafah. We've heard it being approved more than once, and yet we haven't seen it happen. There's been a huge amount of international pressure pushing back against that possibility because of all those civilians you mentioned. So what this may be is a maximalist position, a threat, essentially, as you would expect during any kind of public negotiations like this, that they are prepared to take that step, the Israeli military. And yet we have heard again and again and again from Hamas that any deal needs to include what they've called a permanent ceasefire. And clearly military operations ongoing in Rafah would not constitute that, Doreen.
OK, thank you. Willem Marks reporting for us from occupied East Jerusalem.